Man, there is a lot of moving pieces this year. The 2026 silly season is in full effect, so I wanted to come in here and make you guys this video to help clear up where everyone is going or might be going. I'll let you know who's locked in for next year, who is not, and where we think that they might be going. So let's get into it. All right, so the way we're gonna break this down is team by team. And the first team we're gonna talk about is going to be Team Honda HRC. On the 450 side, everything's pretty straightforward, no major changes. Both Lawrence brothers will be returning for 2026. And then on the 250 side, it sounds like one rider will be staying, one will be leaving. Chance Hymas will be returning for 2026. And Jo Shimoda will be leaving, most likely. That's not 100% confirmed, but it seems to be that there's a falling out between Shimoda and Honda, mainly due to the agent situation with Lucas Myrtle having a falling out with Wasserman. Sounds like he's been threatened by Wasserman and he wanted to keep his relationship with Lucas Myrtle. So definitely not an ideal situation there. Assuming that Shimoda leaves, some likely places that he could go would be Husqvarna. But then again, we don't know exactly what that team's doing, if they're even coming back next year. Maybe Pro Circuit, but as you guys will see in a bit, that team is pretty full next year. So the future is definitely pretty uncertain for Jo Shimoda right now. Moving on to Star Yamaha, we have 4 of the 250 riders that are locked in for next year. So that's going to be Cole Davies, Nate Thrasher, Max Anstey, and Pierce Brown. They'll all be back pretty much no matter what next year. Michael Mosiman, Hayden Deegan, all still need new deals for next year as of the time of this recording. We did see Michael Mosiman get a podium in Supercross, so that was good to see. Benik also looked really good at the start of Supercross, but after the last crash that he had, he decided to sit out until Motocross. So I do think that Benik is a little bit ahead of Mosiman right now as far as being able to be re-signed for the team. But I do expect that their Motocross results are going to weigh in a little bit on whether or not they remain at the team. As far as Hayden Deegan, I think that they just needed to know how they want to structure his future deal. Right now, what I'm expecting to hear is that they signed him again for 250 Supercross and that he'll be transitioning to 450 for Motocross next year. So he would essentially be Motocross teammates with Cooper Webb and Justin Cooper. It's also worth mentioning that Christian Craig is essentially on this team even though he's riding the 450. Sounds like he will probably be back for Supercross next year, but he's not contracted to ride Motocross at all this year. As far as the 450 team, Justin Cooper is staying once again. He had a very strong end to a Supercross season. He's able to get, sounds like maybe a multi-year deal. And then Cooper Webb is getting a salary increase and will be staying with the team once again next year. And then as far as Eli Tomac, he is moving on from the team. As of right now, it sounds like there's pretty much nothing going on as far as communication between Star Yamaha and Eli Tomac as far as a new deal. There's a lot of factors that play into that. Obviously, Tomac would be great to have for the team, but you have to think that they now have to pay Cooper Webb even more. Justin Cooper is continuing to develop. And of course, they have the superstar of Hayden Deegan, who will also be moving up to the 450 class. And it's just pretty hard to have 4 top paid riders on a 450 team. Obviously, Justin Cooper isn't making as much money as the other 3 guys, but he's still demanding a fair bit of money. He's one of the top 450 guys. Nonetheless, Eli Tomac is moving on, pretty much guaranteed. And as of right now, it sounds like he recently tested the KTM. That looks to be his best landing place. He could potentially go with Ducati. Some people might say that he should try to go back to Kawasaki, but it doesn't seem like that relationship ended very well. So pretty much no matter what, it sounds like Tomac is not going to be able to race on a cable clutch next year. Nothing is 100% confirmed right now, but it seems like KTM is the most reasonable place for him to go. They are a championship caliber team that has proven every single year that they can get race wins with multiple different riders. So if I'm Eli Tomac, I'm willing to at least give that a shot if I want to come back. There is technically still the option that he could just retire, but it doesn't seem like he wants to do that. So likely Tomac to KTM. As far as Pro Circuit, the 250 side of the Kawasaki team, Hamaker and McAdoo are both signed through 2026, so you'll see them returning. Drew Adams should be good to go through 2027, so he will also be on the team for sure. Garrett Marchbanks is on a 1-year prove-it deal, so he's definitely looking to finish off the season strong. Right now, if I had to guess, I would say that he's probably starting to prove himself with the way he ended Supercross, but he definitely needs to back that up with some good motocross results. We saw him do that last year in motocross at the end of motocross, so definitely something that's possible. Would not be surprised to see him return. But as far as Ty Masterpool, he also has to prove himself, and it sounds like he's in more of a falling out type of situation with Mitch and Pro Circuit. We saw him come out for Supercross and immediately get injured, and he pretty much has not returned since then. Seems like he's more or less refused to return to Supercross. That part is a little bit of speculation, but we have seen him back riding for quite a while now. No Supercross racing. Hopefully he can come out swinging for motocross and maybe get another win. It would be really cool to see him at least be able to stay on a factory team. He looks good on that Pro Circuit when he's on, but at the end of the day, that's already 4 riders that could be and should be returning, and we have one more to talk about in a second. So if they're looking to make room for anybody else, like say a Joe Shimoda, he would definitely be one of the more likely riders to get cut. And then one last rider we need to mention is Levi Kitchen, and I would expect that Levi Kitchen should be returning, but he does need a deal to still be worked out at this point. It'll be interesting to see how he does when he returns to motocross. There had to have been some expectation that he could win the Supercross championship coming into the season, and I would imagine that they were waiting to see how the Supercross season played out before they offered him a deal. But either way, right now it sounds like he does not have a deal locked in for next year. Also, it would seem that the 450 side of the Kawasaki team is pretty much locked down for the next few years. So if Levi Kitchen does end up moving up in the next year or two, does he have a clear path to even stay on this team? Not really. So there's definitely that potential that he could start looking elsewhere now. But realistically, I think he'll probably just stay with Kawasaki, ride that out as far as he needs to in the 250 class, and then find a 450 factory ride when the time comes. On the 450 side of Kawasaki, Jorge Prado is signed through 2027, so don't look for him to go anywhere anytime soon. And it would seem that Jason Anderson is on his way out. While he could technically still stay with the team, it really doesn't seem like he's going to. His deal is up, nothing new on the table right now. He will be returning for motocross. We saw him practicing out at Glen Helen for the Stopwatch Nationals, so he's definitely looking back to form. He was by far the fastest guy out there. But all that aside, he's going to need a ride for 2026. Where exactly he will land remains to be seen. Some potential places would obviously be the Ducati team that is starting up, possibly Triumph if they're looking to run a 2-man team, but as we'll talk about in a little bit, it would seem that they already have at least one guy locked in for that spot. Maybe he goes to HEP Suzuki and rides on the Twisted Tea side. We have Kyle Chisholm retiring, and Colt Nichols' deal is also up. So if he resigns or doesn't resign, there could be a spot there. Maybe he goes to Club MX. They've ran a 450 before, and he's been living and training there recently, so that seems like somewhere where there could be good chemistry. Maybe he just wants a good bike under him with good support. I'm sure there's a part of Anderson that would love to beat factory guys on a quote-unquote privateer team. As far as the Gas and Husqvarna team, the Rockstar team, whatever you want to call it, they're basically the same team at this point. As of right now, it would seem that they're going to consolidate the name into just one or the other. Whether that's Husqvarna or Gas remains to be seen. My personal opinion is that we don't see a Gas team next year. It's just going to be Rockstar Husqvarna. Maybe we get some of the Gas riders on Huskies, but either way, that's just speculation. As far as the 250 team, the only rider that is locked in right now is RJ Hampshire, and he's essentially now a 450 rider. He's moving up as soon as Pro Motocross. Casey Cochran, Ryder DiFrancisco, and Landon Gibson are all not really sure where they're going to be next year. The reason I mentioned Landon Gibson is because we saw him racing SMX Next, and he looks really good. I would not be surprised to see him go pro next year. He could come out and go pro as soon as Supercross, or maybe he races SMX Next one more time and then goes pro full-time for motocross. But either way, he's definitely ready to talk about pro deals. Ryder DiFrancisco and Casey Cochran have missed a large majority of the season so far due to injuries. Based off of what we've seen so far, Ryder DiFrancisco does seem like he's in a better position out of those two riders. Personally, I see them keeping Ryder DiFrancisco and Casey Cochran being let go in a similar path to what happened to Talon Hawkins not that long ago. And then they have the door cracked open for Landon Gibson in the future. I'm assuming they would want two 250 guys, and that would be your two with Ryder DeFrancisco and Landon Gibson. But I would also add that Outdoors is probably going to play a big factor in how this all goes down. If either one of these riders comes out and really shines in motocross, that's definitely going to help their case. Now on the 450 side, we have Justin Barcia and Malcolm Stewart, and it would seem that both of these guys are leaving. Malcolm Stewart is pretty much going to be heading to Triumph. That's obviously not 100% confirmed, but it sounds like Triumph made him an aggressive deal, and we just saw that Malcolm announced that he's now partnering with FXR for his gear deal even into Pro Motocross, which really lines up well with Malcolm, partially because he loves to fish and FXR does some fishing stuff, but also because FXR is the main gear sponsor of Team Triumph. So it makes sense that he's already building that relationship if he knows that's where he's going next year. And it also sounds like if he goes to Triumph, he's going to be able to take his Rockstar sponsorship over there with him, which would really benefit Team Triumph because they do not have a premier energy drink sponsor right now. As far as Justin Barcia, like I said, he's also not really guaranteed to be there, and I don't think he's going to be staying. Sounds like he's probably leaving. Again, just to reiterate, RJ Hampshire will be on this team, so assuming everything doesn't just implode and everything is closed down, Hampshire would be a 450 guy for the team. There's a lot of places that Barcia could go, but right now, the most likely seems to be TLD Ducati. He's been a Troy Lee guy for many years. He has a good relationship with Troy. And this particular deal would make a lot of sense because Ducati is going to be a brand new bike racing Supercross for the first time. So we have somebody who's a veteran like Justin Barcia who knows how a bike should feel. He's also an established guy. But at the same time, we don't expect Justin Barcia to go out there and win or even get podiums consistently. So if Justin Barcia goes out there on the Ducati and he gets 7th place, that's all good. The Ducati looks great. But let's say they pay a lot more money, get somebody like Eli Tomac, and then Tomac struggles with the bike a bit, or whatever the case may be, and he ends up getting 6th. Well, now the Ducati's terrible. So probably a good marketing plan if they get somebody a little bit less caliber around that Justin Barcia range, a lot more affordable, and it just makes more sense for a first-year team. And then as far as the flagship Pierre Mobility team, KTM, things are getting pretty weird over there. As of right now, it would seem that they're probably going to run 3 450s and 1 250. Julian Beaumer and Aaron Plessinger are already locked in for next year. Tom Vial is going to have to be full-time 450 at the start of next year, regardless of what team he's on, and it would seem that he's likely to stay with KTM. With that current team roster, you have 2 450 guys, but the interesting thing is that you can't really say that either Plessinger or Vial is an established championship contender, which they currently have in Chase Sexton, but it looks like Chase Sexton is pretty much moving on from KTM. That hasn't been 100% confirmed, but it would seem that he is more than likely moving to Kawasaki. It is still definitely possible that he could stay with the team, but like I said, not super likely. So assuming that he does move out, they do have a hole to fill in the sense of wanting a 450 championship contender. They have 2 good riders, but we have seen them run 3 450s in the past. And like I mentioned earlier, they are aggressively going after Eli Tomac. So it would seem that they are aware that Chase Sexton is looking elsewhere, and they are looking to fill that hole with Eli Tomac. Then as far as Team Triumph, all of their current 250 riders are all pretty much locked in for next year. Styles Robertson is definitely in an interesting place where he's been pretty much injured throughout the entirety of his stay at Triumph. So that's something to keep an eye on. But Faulkner's still on a multi-year deal. Swoll just re-signed with the team. And Jordan Smith is also on a multi-year deal. And he's another guy that they're looking at potentially moving up to the 450s. But I think with him getting their first 250 Supercross win this year, they're also interested in keeping him down another year, and that's why they're going after Malcolm Stewart. They are also bringing in one of their test riders and MXGP riders, Mikel Harep. We'll get to see him racing motocross this season, and it sounds like he could be back next season depending on how all of this shakes out. Sounds like they were surprised at how good he took to Supercross as well. So technically he's not scheduled to be back next year, at least not for Supercross, but that's something that could definitely change in the future. I also quickly want to mention Club MX because they're starting to become a pretty well-established team. Cody Schock is still locked in. He signed a 3-year deal a while back, so he's good for next season. Max Voland is also good for next season. Jet Reynolds is a bit of a different story. His future is definitely uncertain right now. And then we also have to keep an eye on Devin Simonson. He missed the majority of the Supercross season and he just signed with that team, but he really came out swinging for the last couple of rounds that he was able to do. Definitely looked a lot better than I was expecting, so let's see how he does in motocross. He could definitely be returning for the team as well, but it would seem that they're definitely trying to go after more premier riders next year. They're definitely being pretty aggressive with their contract offers that they're sending out. If they land somebody like Jason Anderson, then don't look for them to add too many premier 250 guys. But if they can't hook a big fish like Jason Anderson, then I would expect that they're probably going to get at least 2 or 3 more 250 guys going into next season. Don't be surprised to see somebody like Casey Cochran or one of those guys end up over there. And then of course there's a lot of other really good teams that we're not quite sure exactly what they're doing. Quad Lock Honda, Phoenix Honda, PRMX, they're all kind of going to have to wait for the chips to fall with all these other teams and see exactly what's left. I would not be surprised at all to see Quad Lock Honda just keep Savatgy and McElrath. McElrath is looking really good right now. Also, it should be noted that it seems like Dylan Ferrandis is going to sit out the entirety of the motocross season, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. There's definitely still a lot of things to be determined, but at the same time, there's a lot that we already know. So I wanted to come in here and make this video to help you guys get a better understanding of what we're looking at as we head into the next season. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, maybe even subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think down in the comments below, what potential changes you're most excited about, and what changes that you think I am just dead wrong about. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.